Tonight on What the Heck Do I Know's PM Update. Did you know that it was possible to make no mistakes and still lose? So says Captain Picard in the episode Peak Performance on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Our work-primed and lifestyle quest stories tonight will show how, whether you are using project management skills at work or for personal development or any situation, you can do everything right and still not get the outcome you want. That's tonight on PM Update, so stay tuned. Hey guys, I really enjoy making these videos for you, so if you get value from them, please hit like, subscribe, and leave me some comments.
What the Heck Do I Know presents PM Update with Leah and Mia. And now your host, Leah.
Welcome to PM Update. I'm Leah. We all know that when trying something new for ourselves, it's a good idea to see how other people have done it successfully before, and maybe make some adaptations to fit our specific circumstances. This is why project management processes can be used as a tool for just about anything in life you want to do. But what happens when you do everything right and it still doesn't work out? How does that happen? And what should we do about it when it does happen? Well, Leah, there are too many reasons things can go wrong to list them all out. This week I'm covering the stories of Mason Miller, who is a bid proposal project manager, about how he deals with failure. Because, as he says, no one wins them all. I also spoke with Natalia Nash about her silver medal win and gold medal loss in figure skating at last year's Winter Olympics, and what she thinks about the experience. Thanks, Mia. I can't wait to hear the details. Do you know who said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated"? In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it. Stay tuned for Mia's stories and the answer to this question. Welcome back to our Work Prime segment for this week. Now, first up is a story about Mason Miller. The nature of his job as bid proposal manager is such that much of what he and his team produces does not result in a win. Mia has his story about how he deals with not winning. Mason and his team have a win rate of about 50%. He says that is a little higher than average for companies with a proposal strategy similar to theirs, since they submit for all renewals, but they also bid a fair number of new business opportunities. There are 8 phases in the business development life cycle, and his job starts in phase 5. So there's a lot that happens before he even sees a request for proposal. Market identification, accounting planning and positioning, opportunity assessment, and opportunity planning are the first 4 stages, and all of them can improve or impair his win rate. Mason and his team are responsible for the next 3 phases: proposal planning, proposal development, and negotiation and post-submittal activity. They start their part of the process by doing a kickoff meeting for the team to review the request for proposal, requirements, and all of the information received during the first 4 stages in order to plan the approach, set schedules, assign activities, and making sure they have the right people on the team for the proposal to succeed. As they finish each section draft, they send it for review until the entire proposal is complete. Then the proposal is reviewed again as a whole document and checked against the list created at the beginning to make sure they have complied with all requirements. If the review team has any changes, these are made and the process repeats until they are ready to submit. There are usually in-person meetings with the potential client afterwards to negotiate or answer questions and concerns they may have. They may also make additional adjustments or submit a revised proposal after these meetings. Mason says his team puts in a lot of effort into making what they hope will be a winning proposal. Obviously, they are thrilled when they have a win, and that is what they always strive for. As a company and a team, though, they can't control the decisions made outside of the group. They can only attempt to influence them by the work they do,
the relationships they have, and the end product they submit. Mason and his team use project management processes and principles for each step. They plan the strategy and work, they execute, and submit. Their process is known to be effective because they do win about 50% of the time, but not all. Does this mean they should change their strategy? Mason says not. Everyone would love to win all the time, but that is unlikely to ever happen given the company's strategy for opportunity assessment. Over time in a job like this, Mason says you get used to the losses, and if you're proactive, you can use the information you gain for being better on the next one. Mason believes that most things people call failures are actually learning opportunities. Mason and his team do an after-action review after every proposal award, whether they win or not. They evaluate all the things they think they did well and things they can improve on. Some of the lessons they learn from this only apply to that particular client, but many can be applied to how they do business in general. If they find something that worked well, they can add it to their process or way of doing business to increase their win rate. Mason says if you go into the process accepting your limitations and knowing that you can't and won't win everything, it helps keep things in perspective. It also gives you much more reason to celebrate when you do win. You appreciate each and every one. If you won everything, it would just be meeting expectations. And you wouldn't be learning anything new or getting better at what you do because why would you need to?
Mason says that the project management process they use helps them develop the best product they can. And the important part is that they are always trying to grow and, of course, improve their win percentage. They know they will never get to 100% because of the company's strategy and external limitations. But for them, trying to be the best they can is what is important. Now that is a great example of how it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life, to use the full Picard quote. For those not familiar with the show or episode, he says this line in order to get Data back on the job. Data took himself off duty because he was bested in a game by a humanoid, which he believes meant there was something wrong with him. At the end of the episode, spoiler alert, Data asks for a rematch and uses a different strategy for playing the game that he learned through other events in the episode. In his first attempt, he tried to win and failed. In the second attempt, his strategy was to try for a draw. His opponent got so angry he quit the game in protest. I call that a win. Now, remember our earlier question, what famous person said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it." Well, that was Maya Angelou. In the previous story, we learned from a group of people who technically lose all of the time. But what if your life goal is one supreme achievement or goal and you don't make it? In our Lifestyle Quest segment next, we're going to look at that exact situation. Second question, do you know who said, "Shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land among the stars"? Stay tuned for the next story and answers. Welcome back to Lifestyle Quest. You would think that after spending most of your life working towards a goal and not reaching it would devastate most people. And perhaps it does. But Natalia Nash is not most people. After her performance in the last Olympic Winter Games brought her silver instead of gold, a lot of the media hounded her about how she felt about losing to her fellow teammate. Natalia's response? "I didn't lose this gold, I won the silver." Life is back to normal now for Natalia after the flurry of the last Olympics. She still trains as much as before, but now that the media chaos is over, at least until the next Olympics, she has the time to do normal person things. Despite her fame, she is extremely well grounded, as you might be able to tell from her response to the media.
Natalia says that of course she was disappointed when she first heard the scores and realized she had not won gold. She had worked so hard for so long to reach this place, and by all accounts, her performance was flawless. How could this have possibly happened? Then she realized that it often happens that people work really hard for things and someone else is just a little bit better. She knew that most of the media attention would be on her teammate at first, but once they got their sound bites and interviews with her, she would be next. She only had a few minutes to pull herself together, something that her years of training, focus, and being in the spotlight taught her to do well. Since she was still going home with the medal, the line about winning the silver came to her before she saw her first reporter. The next few days were a media circus, but she managed to get through it all with the dignity and grace she is known for both on and off the ice. On the long journey home, she had a lot of time to think about how she felt about the situation and decided that she really did feel like she had won silver. All her coaches told her that winning meant gold. She believed them, and most of her life had been spent with gold being the goal. But was it really? She had watched the replays, and she did give a great performance. Silver didn't feel like losing to her. By the time she returned home, she was still hounded for interviews that she felt were aimed at creating rivalry between her and her teammate or getting a negative emotional response out of her, and she was not interested. She thought about Bonnie Blair saying that winning doesn't always mean being first. Winning means you're doing better than you've ever done before. Natalia knew that was true for her. She skated as well as she could at the time. Not only had she won the silver, but she had also won by Bonnie's definition. She took a few days to herself to think about what she was going to do next. Even though intellectually she felt like she won something special, she wasn't sure if she was done trying for more. Even though the nature of the sport and scoring system is ranking against others, that didn't mean she had to see it that way. What if she competed again, but instead of competing against the other skaters, she competed against herself and her past performance? Could she do a better performance than her last trip to the Olympics? Eventually, she decided it didn't have to be over for her. If she kept training and skating, she could easily qualify again. And maybe the next time she would be even better. Since her two main competitors from the previous Olympics were retiring from the sport, it would be a completely different game. She could change up her program and do things a little differently this time. Natalia went right back to training and competing. She may have done her best so far, but she wasn't done yet. And just because someone was a little better than her on that day doesn't mean that it will happen that way again. She is working as hard as she did before the last Olympics and is ready to take on the challenge again when the time comes. Nothing has changed about her drive and ambition. One major thing about her goals has changed, though. She says that now she isn't doing it for the gold. She's doing it to perform her absolute best again in an Olympic arena. No matter what medal she comes back with, or even if she doesn't come back with one at all, as long as she gets in the arena again and does her best, then she has reached it. Natalia will be competing in the World Championships next year, which will be the stepping stone to get her in there, and I, for one, am rooting for her.
What an inspirational story, Mia. It sounds like in this circumstance, Natalia did something similar to Data. She changed her goal to fit her psychological limitation. If she can't beat her competitors this time, as long as she does her best, then she can still be happy with herself, her performance, and call it a win again. Exactly right, Leah. She seems really excited about her new program and doing things a little bit differently this time. She can take some risks and have some fun with it on her own terms rather than being overly concerned with judges' opinions. Once again, a really great story, Mia. Thank you for sharing that with us. And now, the answer to our last question. Who said, "Shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land among the stars"? That was Oscar Wilde. Personally, I think Natalia has already made it to the stars, and I wish her the best of luck trying for the moon again. That's all we have for What the Heck Do I Know's PM Update, Work Primed, and Lifestyle Quest segments for tonight. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time on our next episode of PM Update. Good night. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I love seeing comments, and sharing is caring.